Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we usually go back and check out a Netflix original film in the order of release. However, today we have a very special bonus episode where we're discussing Netflix's 2024 teen comedy called Incoming. This is directed by Dave and John Chernin, and it stars Mason Thames, Ramon Reed, Raphael Alejandro, Isabella Ferreira, Bardia Seiri, Loren and Bobby Cannavale. I'm Jesse. Thanks for joining me for this special bonus episode. As always, we will spoil this as we go. So if you haven't checked out this new film and you're keen on doing it, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because we're going to get straight into it with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one, it's about a group of teenagers who are trying to navigate their way through their first high school party. Intriguing. This is a teen comedy, as I said before, and this sort of riffs on many films that you would have seen before, and many sort of situations and locations and themes and ideas that you've seen in these types of films before. But does this one do anything different to sort of stand out? Well, we'll talk about it soon. How did this end up on Netflix, I guess, is the important question. So this one, it was written and directed by Dave and John Chernin. As I said before, it's their feature debut. The film was first announced in July of 2022, and it was going to be an independent film until Netflix purchased the rights to the film in November of 2023. The first look images from principal photography that were released in July of 2024, and Dave Chernin said about the film, he said, "This is the type of movie that hadn't come along in a while. There always felt like there was one of these per generation. It was just something silly that prized laughter above all else, and I think we really wanted to see that more than anything." So obviously just want laughs in this film. That's what they want. They're like, we want a teen film for the next generation so that they can laugh, they can find some humor, have those moments, social media moments that can be shared and talked about amongst the teens. So, good little setup there from them. This was filmed in LA, in California, from July of 2022 to October of 2022. So about 2 years before it was released. Translations around the world. So in Portuguese, it's called The Newbies. In French, it's called The New. In Hungarian, it's called Four Freshmen. That's very straightforward, that one. In Italian, it's called Incoming, the New Arrivals. Japanese, it's called Fresh, in high school. In Polish, Freshmen. Russian, Beginners. Spanish, Inexperienced. Turkish, Novices. And Vietnamese, New Litter. Don't mind that one. That one's quite funny. But obviously the English title, Incoming, it's all about these new kids joining high school and trying to fit in. That's what we were going with. The tagline, had two taglines for this film. One was Freshmen Today, Legends Tomorrow. Yeah, rubbish. The other one was Who Invited the Freshmen, obviously in relation to the party that they're at. So that's where we're at with this. This did hit Netflix on the 23rd of August 2024. What are the critics and audiences saying about this? Only a couple of days since it's been released. Not very good, to be honest. Rotten Tomatoes sits at 14%. That is very rotten on 14 reviews. The audience sits at 63%. That's on more than 50 ratings. IMDb sits at a 5.9 out of 10 on 1,700 ratings. Letterboxd, 2.6 out of 5 on nearly 11,000 ratings, and it's only been logged by about 12,000 people. Metacritic, 40 out of 100 on 6 reviews. That's in that yellow of the traffic light system. No audience results as of yet, so pretty on the low side for everything here. What are my early thoughts for this one? It's by no means a classic, that's for sure, but there are enough laughs and decent performances in it in a pretty short runtime that sort of makes it an easy watch, and something that's I think is fairly a staple Netflix should be looking at doing. The characters. Let's talk about the characters from this film. So Benj is our main kid. He's this well-meaning geek, I guess, who's in love with his sister's best friend. All these setups that work for these characters. He's desperate to shake this image he's got of being a theatre kid, being a cool dude, and that's what this film follows him for. Alyssa's his sister, who I spoke about. She's sort of struggling to get over her ex-girlfriend, so she gets a nose job and sort of plays a side character throughout this film. Bailey is Alyssa's best friend, the one that Benj is sort of obsessed with, and she seems super supportive and also not a complete horrible character, because she's very gentle with Benji, and those moments are often sweet considering she's a bit older than him as well. Ruby is the worst kid in school, sells drugs. He's got to drive Benj to school as a punishment for whatever he's done at school, so he just plays this sort of stoner guy that's meant to be funny. I didn't really find him funny, I guess. Connor, then we talk about Connor and Eddie. They're Benj's other friends, so Connor is sort of picked on at high school from the first moment. He gets called Fetus, and that name sticks, so he wants to get rid of that name. And then Eddie's the other kid who's sort of struggling with his own insecurities around his mum's boyfriend and standing up for himself, I guess is a good way of putting it. Koosh is their other kid, or the Koosh is the older brother, but he wants to be called Koosh as well. He's rich. He struggles to find his own name under the shadow of his cool big brother, so that's where he's at too. Katrina, she's this cool, good-looking girl at school who everyone wants to be friends with and wants to be with, and she's got this huge social media profile, and she sort of sits in there as a little bit of a reminder of the cool kids at school too. The last character is the teacher, Mr. Studebaker. He's meant to be a cool teacher, I guess, but he crosses the line of what a teacher should be for most of this film. He has obviously a sad life, nothing outside of school except his students and his teaching, but that doesn't make his actions right or justifiable in any way in this film. The directors, David and John Chernin, we mentioned this before, like they're brothers. They're obviously known for a big chunk of TV. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The Mick, so these TV shows, and their dad as well works in the industry, Peter Chernin. He's got a big deal with Netflix for television, from what I gather as well. All right, let's talk about some scenes. What are some scenes that stood out? What are some ones? And these are obviously going to spoil the film. So if you don't want the laughs ruined and you haven't seen the film, but hopefully if you're listening, you've seen it and you're going to laugh along with these. But the opening scene really had me. Like Benj, he's looking in the mirror, he's kissing it. He's, a little bit excited. The sister opens the door, bangs his head. She thinks he's going at it with the door. Just really hooked me, especially like they go downstairs with the mum. Brother and sister have this conversation, and the mum's just sort of having a go at her daughter for the nose job she got. I thought that was funny too. Benj's story of why, he thinks he's in with a chance with Bailey, because over the summer break, she stayed over with his sister, and they sort of caught up in the kitchen in the middle of the night, and he got some milk and he spilled the milk everywhere, and then he's like, he played it cool, and then her nipple falls out of her top. That just made me laugh. That was funny. Koosh, there's a stage where he's talking to Benji from the cameras. He sets up these cameras in the house where the party is to sort of pick up a girl, and he's talking to Benj about where Bailey is, and he makes him walk into this room where these two guys are just fully going at it naked. I thought that was quite funny. Eddie and Connor, like they are off from the party. They're having their own adventure themselves across the city, and they're in the car. She thinks they're her Uber. She's passed out in the back seat, and they're just like, "What's that smell?" I put the windows down, and then you just see her absolutely covered in poo. And they get it over their hands, and they nearly crash the car, and then her head like bounces. I was in stitches. This was hilarious, gross but hilarious. The teacher, Mr. Studebaker, there's a scene where he sets himself on fire and he like jumps in the pool, but the follow-up was even funnier where we saw earlier on that Ruby has like this taser or animal prodding stick that drops in the pool and sort of fries the teacher too. And finally, Koosh, pretty ordinary character. He slips, pops his shoulder out, then he ends up at the hospital with Alyssa as well, who's had her nose smashed in, just the two of them sitting there. It reminded me very much of Charlie Sheen and in Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the police station. That was good as well. Forgettable scenes. Koosh, I sort of mentioned his security camera set up to create this meet cute was just horrible, especially the spa scene. That just didn't work for me. And the final scene of Benj singing at that assembly, it was so lame, so bad, as well as like the post-credit scene of the teacher Studebaker getting fired. It wasn't needed and it just wasn't funny. Themes, ideas, what was this film trying to say? Teen insecurity is obviously a big thing. It's a teen film. The hierarchy of school, the worries about superficial looks, but still that idea of needing to know what's right and wrong and being yourself, because that can also be a good thing too. Friendships, stick by your friends no matter what, and actions have consequences. You do the wrong thing, you're going to get hurt or embarrassed or need to redeem yourself. So I think that came through as well. What did I take away from this one? I don't care. And this is in relation to Katrina wanting to go to Taco Bell. I don't care what people say. I love Taco Bell. And that car scene, it was definitely from the booze at the party, not from the Taco Bell. No more jokes about Taco Bell making your guts crook. I love Taco Bell. And the other thing, Mason Thames, he was good. Like he was so good in this. And obviously, if you've seen The Black Phone, he was in that as well. The horror film based on Stephen King's son's novel, Joking, I think it was. But yeah, like he's good. I think he's got big things to come. I'm very impressed. Questions, ponderings, ideas. Just online, there's so many comparisons about this, trying to be super bad. I think, yeah, you get it. Like, it's the same genre, but I think it's a different film. It's, a different high school scenario. It's about the start of high school rather than the end. And, I think it does just enough to justify itself as a film. So that's my little pondering here. I think, ready to wrap it up. We give the films a rating out of 5. So for me, when I was 15, I probably would have thought this was the best film ever. And that's why I think it's probably going to do well, because there's going to be a group of teenagers that watch this film and this becomes their Superbad almost of their generation. I definitely don't think that now for myself, but there's still some really good laughs in this. It's worth a watch. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. I don't care what people say. 3 out of 5 for me. Worth a watch. We're on socials. We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter. Question I wanted to put out for socials for this one is, what's the worst thing that you've had to clean out of a car just based on this film? Exploded milk that reeks the car out. It was like drinks that have exploded. I've had so much crap in cars that have just gone wrong. So So what's the worst thing you've had to clean in a car? This is a bonus episode, obviously. So we do have episodes out every single Monday. Give us a subscribe, give us a follow, give us a like. Nearly 400 episodes on Netflix original film. So I'm sure we've probably got an episode on a film that you've seen. Give us a follow, give us a like if you can. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you Monday for our regular episode.